everyone, welcome to the Hindu Current Affairs for Beginners. First, let us see the answers for the questions from our yesterday's video. The marginal cost of lending rates refers to. The answer here is, it is the minimum interest rate of a bank below which it cannot lend except in some cases allowed by the Reserve Bank of India. The answer here is C. The next question is, which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the Monetary Policy Committee? It decides the RBI's benchmark interest rates, that is the repo rate, and it is a 12-member body including the governor of RBI, and it is reconstituted every year. It is a 6-member body. So the statement 2 is incorrect. It functions under the chairmanship of Union Finance Minister. This is wrong. Here the chairman is the RBI governor itself. So as 2 and 3 were incorrect, answer here is only 1. It is A. Now let's start today's session. The first article is without land or recourse. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of environment, and it also comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of government policies and interventions for the development in various sectors and issues arising out of their design and implementation. So now let us see what is the context of this article. The Supreme Court has asked that the governments of 17 states to evict 1 million tribal and other households who were living in forests after their claims of right to live in forests was rejected under the Forest Rights Act. What is this right to live according to this Forest Rights Act? This law will give land rights to those who are living in forest land for at least 3 generations before December 31, 2005. So now what is the issue is about 1 million land ownership claims that were being made by these scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers under this FRA Act was rejected on various grounds. And even the major ground is they were saying that there is no proof that this land was belonged to these people for at least 3 generations, which will provide land rights for these people. From the prelims point of view, what we should know from here is, we should know what are the key features of this Forest Rights Act. This act was passed in 2006 and it deals with the rights of forest dwelling communities over land and other resources. And this act grants recognition to the rights of traditional forest dwelling communities. If we see what are the rights that were provided under this act means, this act provides title rights. That means it will give ownership rights to the tribals for the land which is up to a maximum of 4 hectares, and that land should be cultivated by the farmer. That means according to these rights, no new lands will be granted. The next one is use rights. These tribals will be provided with the rights to use minor forest produce, and they can use this land even for grazing. And the other thing is relief and development rights. This will be provided in relation to rehabilitation in case of illegal eviction or forced displacement, and with regard to the basic amenities. And the other one is forest management rights. This is to protect forests and wildlife. Then what is the eligibility to get rights under this Forest Rights Act of 2006? This eligibility is confined only to those who primarily reside in forests and who depend on forests and forest land for a livelihood. And along with this, the person, whoever is claiming the eligibility to get rights under this act, should be a member of scheduled tribes, that is scheduled in that area, or he must be residing in that forest for 75 years. The next article is Labour Bureau files Mudra job report. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of governance. From the prelims point of view, what we should know from this article is what is this Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. The context of this article is the Labour Bureau has completed its survey on employment that is generated by the Mudra loan scheme. We already have seen many times about what is this Mudra scheme. This Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana was introduced in 2015 in order to extend affordable credit to micro and small enterprises. By providing loans up to 10 lakh are extended to these non-corporate, non-farm enterprises by the micro units development and refinance agency, which is known as Mudra, through last mile financial institutions. As per this survey, till now 15.56 crore loans with a total worth of 7.23 lakh crore has been disbursed. Few days ago we have seen that as per the NSSO's survey, it found that the unemployment rate in India has hit a 45-year high of 6.1% in 2017-18. So now the central government ministers and the officials were using this Mudra scheme's performance in order to combat this criticism based on the leaked NSSO job survey report. The next article is India to have own DNS for safe browsing. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of science and technology. From this article, let us see what is this DNS. It is the domain name system. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has announced that India will come up with a public domain name server for the country. What will this DNS do? It will translate human readable domain names. For example, like www.google.com. It will translate this human readable domain name into machine readable IP address. So this domain name server is a computer which will house DNS zones of domain names. What is the purpose of this public domain name server? India's public domain name server will ensure fast access, enhanced availability, and it will provide secured access, and it will maintain data privacy and data localization within the country. This is one of the key components to ensure internet resilience, that means which will provide the ability to provide and maintain an acceptable level of service when there are faults and challenges in the normal operation. The next article is Time for Independent Debt Management Office. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. From this article, here we are going to see about an agency known as Public Debt Management Agency. There has been a long pending proposal to set up an independent agency in order to manage the borrowings done by the central government. Borrowings. So that agency is this Public Debt Management Agency. If this agency was set up, this will amend the Reserve Bank of India Act. And what is the need for this independent debt manager for the center? Because the central government's borrowings were increasing in huge amounts, and the central government is planning to lower its fiscal deficit. These are the reasons why it was felt there is a need for independent debt manager for the center. The objective of this Public Debt Management Agency is it will permit the Reserve Bank of India to focus fully on its responsibility for setting up the monetary policy and to do away with the conflicts of its twin roles as the manager of the government debt as well as banker. These are the twin roles of the RBI. One is it will manage the government debt. Right now it is doing it, and it is also a banker. So once this public debt management agency is set up, it will permit the RBI to focus only on these banking activities and in setting up this monetary policy. The next article is Centerless Projects to Stop Flow of India's Share of Water to Pakistan. This article comes under GS Paper 2 under the topic of India and Neighborhood Relations. So from this article, from the prelims point of view, we should know what is this Indus Water Treaty and what are the key facts that were associated with it. First of all, let us see what is the context of this article. In response to Pulwama terror attack, the center has decided to stop India's share of water that used to flow to Pakistan. Now the government has decided to divert those waters from eastern rivers to Jammu and Kashmir. So now what is this river sharing between India and Pakistan? The sharing of water of 6 rivers, that is Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Sutlej between India and Pakistan is governed by a treaty the two countries have signed in 1960. That treaty is known as Indus Water Treaty, and this deal was brokered by the World Bank after 9 years of negotiation. As per this treaty, India has control over water flowing in the eastern rivers. What are those? Beas, Ravi and Sutlej. Whereas Pakistan has control over the western rivers, Indus, Jhelum and Chenab. And according to this treaty, the water commissioners of Pakistan and India, from both the countries, they'll meet twice in a year to share the details of water flow and the quantum of water that is being used under this treaty. And this treaty will set out a mechanism for cooperation and information exchange between the two countries regarding their use of these river water. Out of the total 168 million acre feet, India's share of water from the 3 allotted rivers is 33 million acre feet, which constitutes nearly 20% of the total river water. In this, India will use 93 to 95% of its share under this Indus Water Treaty, and the rest of the water will remain unutilized and it will go to Pakistan. Now, the government wants to divert this water to Jammu and Kashmir instead of releasing this unutilized water, which is India's share, into Pakistan. This is all about for today, and this is our Law Excellence website where you can access the notes for this video. Thank you.